It works, doesn't it? It looks pretty good. So there's the back of the Coffin guitar. Now on the top, I have an idea. Well, I've had this idea from the beginning. What I have here is tongue and groove flooring. I spoke to the guy at the demolition store where I bought this stuff, and he told me that it was sold to them as rosewood. But he's not sure if it is rosewood. I'm not sure either, but it looks like rosewood, and I guess that's kind of what matters. So I will literally use this as tongue and groove paneling, putting it together thus, and I will glue it together. I've got 2 lengths, each of which is twice as long as the guitar, so I guess that means I've got 4 lengths if I cut them in half. I'm going to thickness it slightly. It is certainly thicker than I need it top to be. Right, I've got those boards cut in half and thicknessed, and it really looks like one of them, the 2 halves of which are sitting there, is rosewood, but the other one, it's just not. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's not pine. I'm not great at identifying wood, but it's not as nice as rosewood. But in a way, that's okay. I mean, the top of this coffin is going to be somewhat rustic. So I've arranged these in such a way that the worst flaws, like that there, will actually be cut off. I won't be doing any clamping here because being the tongue and groove material that it is, it actually holds together really well. I'm just gluing it to make it easier for me to deal with when it comes to cutting it out. Right, so I'll just leave that overnight. Yeah, I think I did have a shorter piece that appears to be the rosewood. I mean, maybe it is all rosewood and it's just not all equal quality. But in any event, I think it's going to look quite good when it's done. I need to start thinking about where this neck is going to sit in the body. Now everything is still a wee bit rough at the moment in terms of measurements, but we'll get there soon. So I'm just holding on the fretboard with tape, just so I've got some idea. So if I put the neck there, I'll be able to see where the fretboard sits in relation to the body. You know, do I really want to reach over, or does the player really want to reach over that part of the body in order to reach the top frets? I see, being both a guitar player as well as a new guitar maker, I'm sympathetic to the artist who has to pick up and wield this weapon. So I may even sacrifice shape here by putting a cutaway. Do I want to? I mean, I would kind of lose the coffin shape, but not really. You'd still basically be able to see what this is. So I think maybe I will do that. I'll put a little cutaway there. And this, I'm just sitting it on here so I can see how far into the neck, into the body, the neck will come. I haven't even decided how many pickups this thing will have. Possibly only one. Because let's face it, you're not really going to use a guitar like this to be playing mellow music, are you? As I said, any marks that I put on here at this stage are really rough, but it's just so that when I'm looking at other aspects of the design, i.e. where I put the pickup, I've got some idea of what's going on here. Now, I need to get some idea of where the bridge is, because I'm going to be putting cavities into the body, and I don't want to put them directly below the bridge. Okay. So this has got a 25.5-inch scale, and 25.5 inches ends there if I have the neck at this position. So it's going to be a relatively long-bodied guitar. You're going to have a lot of body sticking out beyond the bridge, which is okay. I mean, I don't want to call it a novelty guitar, but it is kind of, you know, the way that it looks is a big part of why this would be a good, interesting instrument. So I'm going to want to put a cutaway about there, and I suppose that's the end of my bridge, that's the saddle, so the bridge will be sitting, you know, sort of there-ish. Yeah, I guess that's right. Right, so when I make my cavities, I will keep them out of that sort of area. I'm going to put some cavities there because I have a design that I'm thinking about putting into the top, but even if I don't, that's okay. And I'm going to do a route from the pickup, which will be sitting here, to the control cavity, which I guess will be sort of there-ish. Yeah, okay. That's enough of an estimate for me to put that channel in for the wiring, which is really why I was doing all this. Well, as I said I might, I have gone ahead and made a cutaway into this guitar. So now, having done that, and also having done the cavities for the wiring and controls and the design feature that I may put into the top, and it doesn't matter if I don't, because no one will ever see that cavity, I'm just about ready to put the top on. That's always an exciting stage because it starts to look more like the finished product. Now, I've done a bit of measuring here as I was deciding how things should be set up, and just so that I don't lose the benefit of that, I've held the neck on in accordance with those measurements, i.e. where I plan on putting the neck, and then just on the side I've marked where it intersects the body, so that when I put the top on and before I've cut the neck pocket, I'll know where the pocket should be, how long it should be. So, I guess I'm just going to move on to putting the top on. So here's the trick I learned when I was making the Blackwood Telecaster, and I used it to mark out where the cavity was below where the lightning bolt was going to be. And I do it by putting down, well, you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm just making a rubbing. Okay, that'll do. Without intending to, I've got that top edge running exactly along the top edge of the body. So now I can take that off, put the top on, trim the top to the shape of the body, and then I will know exactly where that cavity is, because I intend to make a cross design in the top of the body, which looks like a coffin, so a cross is appropriate. And now I'll know where I can cut so that there'll be a hollow space behind. Speaking of tops, I think we're pretty much now in a position to put that top on. I have glued on the top. I didn't record that process, but it was, well, a perfectly ordinary glue job, using many clamps all around. I used Gorilla Glue, and I used it reasonably sparingly so that I didn't make a big mess, which you can easily do with Gorilla Glue. I'm out of white glue. That bottle is pretty much empty, so I'll have to replace that shortly. Slightly oversized, which is good. It means I can now trim the top using a router. I'll trim it to the same size and shape as the body, and then I'm going to bevel the edge just to make it, well, as a decorative element, perhaps make it look a bit more coffin-y. Do coffin lids have beveled edges? Maybe, plausibly. Anyway, mine will. So, on to the trimming. Alright, you can see all the mess that I've left there from when I started this job and took the bulk of the material off. So I have been using that bevel bit which cuts corners off at a 45-degree angle. I've used it all the way around. Let's get some focus. All the way around the top edge of, I keep wanting to say the coffin, the guitar. I've used it deeper on the top and shallower on the bottom. I think it makes it, I don't know, makes it look a bit more coffin-y, don't you think? Next, I guess I'm going to be looking at cavities, both the neck pocket and the pickup cavity. So stay tuned. I got a little bit lazy. I said I was going to make a template to go around the neck before I routed this pocket. But then I would have to wait for glue to dry and so on and so forth. So I just ended up putting a straight piece along each side, one at a time, and routing them straight. And fortunately, it's not too wide. It's slightly looser than it might ideally be, but it's not crazy bad. You know, it'll make a very nice glue join and it'll look good. So now I'm just getting into the corners there. I won't be able to fully get into the corner with the router. It will be rounded still. So I have to make a decision. Do I round the corners on the neck to make it fit in? Or do I square up these corners in the pocket with a chisel to make it fit that way? Decisions. It isn't actually going to matter that much when it comes to appearance, because I'm reasonably sure, I think I have this right, that the point where the two join is actually going to be a hole. There's going to be a cavity there for a pickup. So it's not like anyone will look and see, but I'll know. And I think I'm going to go with chiseling those corners out. If the observer was going to see the join, then I think rounded corners might look nicer, but in this case, it doesn't matter so much.